outside.
All right.
They're calling people in one at a
Okay,
time.
Dina, do we have anybody that would like to speak?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have we have Mr. Stephen Nodine to speak. Hold on just a moment.
Once a commissioner, always a commissioner. Well, good morning, Steve.
Where would you like us to speak?
That speaker, right, that microphone right there, I think is where they have you set
Really social
up.
distancing, Commissioner. Thank you all for having me. I'm just making sure you want to hold this for me? Get off. I want to thank everyone. My name is Stephen Nodine, 310 Dolphin Street, Mobile, Alabama. I spoke, I think it was March 19th, before you, some of the efforts. I was hoping the county, the state, could pursue in helping small businesses. Obviously, after almost another month, the economy has been devastated, not only here, but throughout the country. More so here because the hospitality industry comprises almost 45% of your tax base. I read in earnest the Attorney General's opinion that came back, or his guidance on Rule 722 that prohibits giving anything of value in response to Commissioner Hudson's idea of getting the business. This is to go through the Chamber of Commerce to see some relief on loans. And I commend you for that, and I commend all you commissioners on trying to do something locally, because we have not seen any relief whatsoever from the federal government, and it may be some time. There are some people that have processed loans, and that's a good sign. And I applaud the Chamber of Commerce for processing a lot of those loans through the SBA and our local banks. Getting back to the Attorney General's opinion, it leads me to go back to some of the major developments that we had and the prohibition of giving county money. At any other time in my conservative political history, I would have never, ever supported something like this. But this, hopefully, is a once-in-a-lifetime situation. Our businesses are crumbling, bars, restaurants, small business crumbling every day we go along without help in some form or fashion. The local authority, the county, has many opportunities to do this, and Jay Ross, the attorney, I read his opinion and agree in many aspects, but do believe that we need Steve Marshall, the Attorney General, to reconsider this opinion in a couple ways. One is to make it finite, and for this particular incident. I'm hoping we don't have to go through this again, because I don't know if we can go through it again. The purpose of that is to ensure that we don't promote one particular business over another. In 2004, we had the Airbus situation, of which we had to change that statute in order to get money to our Industrial Development Authority. Those monies were critical to ensure the public welfare, prosperity, and general welfare of the citizens of Mobile County. We were able to accomplish that and recruit Airbus, which is a major partner and continues to be a major partner, just as well as Austal, just as well as ThyssenKrupp, just as well as Mercedes-Benz, just as well as Hyundai, the state docs. The taxpayers have given billions of dollars in taxpayers' money to these corporations, and we support them because they provide great jobs. But Attorney General Marshall's opinion does not reflect on what is needed now. It is that same infusion of money and loans, small interest loans at a low interest amount, to help these struggling businesses. The only help we're going to get, just as Auburn tried to do, just as Huntsville has tried to do, on a local level to get relief to these private businesses. Now we have that authority due now, and I encourage Jay Ross to look into the Industrial Development Authority, which was set up solely for this purpose. And it may give the Attorney General an option out of this or reconsider this in order for us to help these small businesses. We're saying we can give these billions of dollars to the industry that support jobs and the general welfare. We should be able to do it because you're going to see almost 60% of sales tax businesses crumbling before your eyes if this continues to be drug out over and over again. They give us an end date of April 30th. That's not going to be the end date. We hear it's being pushed back to May 15th. And you hear a lot of rumors going through this, but the rumor that cannot and will and be a reality is that your sales tax for this county, for the city, will dry up in a matter of months. And you will have a complete catastrophe on your hand because of the inability of funding the sheriff's department, the police department, the fire department. That's why it's critical for the Attorney General to reconsider his opinion on the guidance of rule on 722, I don't know what it is, 92.772, 9201.
Section 94.
There's a couple other things that I mentioned May 19th. The Human Resource Board under the county at 38-2-7. We know that the black community has been hit with this coronavirus much more than any population. And there's no doubt that they have difficulties getting loans and always have and have for a while. I'm not going to bring that up, but I'm just going to tell you it's been difficult for the black community to get these banks to give loans in the first place. Now we have an opportunity to shore up people in the black community that are suffering unconditionally worse than the white community or Hispanic community and get them some immediate help under their Human Resource Board under 38-2-9, which gives you the ability of appropriating funds for at-risk youth under 18. The Health Board revisions, you have a monumental task, and I do not understand how some people don't know what you're going through as leaders and commissioners. You hold the power to change a lot of things and influence a lot of minds, and I know you will, particularly in the state legislature. The state legislature should be meeting right now in order to conform some rules and regulations that we need to do. And if they need to be in protective suits so they can do their job, then get them the protective suits, but make sure they get there to do their job. They're not going to meet until the end of April, and that is way too late. So if we need laws change, I implore upon you to contact your local representatives and tell them to get to Montgomery. Whether you have to be a MOP level 4 or not, as we say in the Army, that's what we need you to do, and that includes the Attorney General. There's going to be other monumental tasks that you face, that you can transfer money to certain areas that were in your realm. For instance, Alta Point is going to deal with massive mental health issues. You have the authority to transfer money to that organization. The human resources, as I pointed out. You have the hotel tax that you can transfer money, not spend it on specific things, but get it to areas that are needed, such as health care. You're going to have to revisit the indigent tax because health care is not going to be affordable to some people in the poor community, and you're going to have to take a look at that as we give the tobacco tax to large hospitals and not to real critical care people throughout the community. It funds the hospital. You have a monumental task, and I know that you can do it, and we appreciate all the efforts that you have done, but we implore upon you to contact the Attorney General's office, ask him to reconsider that opinion, and get us some help locally now. We need it.
All right, we appreciate you, Steve.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All three of us, and I'm sure Commissioner Hudson may have some follow-up, but all three of us have been working on different projects in different ways. I know that particular one you're speaking on now that Marshall gave us his opinion on has been one that Connie has kind of run ahead with. But we're all trying to figure out ways to help the business community and the people that are impacted that were actually employed. So please keep that in mind.
We appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner. That is absolutely true. I think And thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here today. So very true, all of it. These are unprecedented times. In our lifetime, we have never seen anything like this hit our community and hit our business community. And I think that what you're saying as far as the Attorney General's opinion, that is my request. I've sent a letter to his office. I encourage everyone to send a letter that's concerned and interested in trying to keep these businesses afloat. The government closed these businesses.
Right.
And until they're allowed by the government to reopen, they're struggling, they're suffering. Some of them may never reopen. This may be permanent closure. And when that happens, when hundreds of businesses throughout Mobile County, and think about the state, thousands, hundreds of thousands even, if those businesses close, that's revenue to local communities, that's revenue to the state, that's revenues that we need to operate to provide services to our citizens. So in that light is what we would request that the Attorney General look at it from that perspective. This is not normal. This is not a normal circumstance. And I agree with you. Normally, we would never appropriate money to small businesses for the benefit of those businesses. But what we're doing is helping businesses stay alive. There's en masse. It's not one or two. It's hundreds that we may have the opportunity to potentially help keep afloat and keep operating until other help arrives or until they're allowed to reopen and restart their operations. So I think these circumstances make all the difference in the world, and so I think that our request would be to ask the Attorney General to view it in that light and to go back and to reevaluate that. And I think not only Mobile County but across the state. And so I'm trying to get the word out now to other communities as well, and other chambers and other small businesses. And I think if there's a rallying point to at least request the Attorney General to take another, to review that opinion based on this current economic climate, that potentially might change his opinion. I certainly hope so, because we're in desperate times right now. And thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, Glenn, we have any other speakers?
No other speakers, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Glenn?
Number one, consider approving the minutes of the emergency meeting of March 16, 2020, and the regular meeting of March 23, 2020. Number two, consider approving a list of claims. Number three, consider approving work order number 3 to WAN Internet Access Master Services Agreement with Information Transport Solution to increase bandwidth at the locations and costs listed below.
And is this primarily for the, what's it called, Jay? What's the legal term? The first hearing? Number 3? Yeah,
You talking about video conferencing?
yes.
Yeah,
Is that what this is for?
that's different. That's item number 4 you're talking about.
Okay,
Is
so,
that part of the is that,
so why are we expanding number 3?
My understanding, Commissioner, is that because of the use of internet right now to do our work.
Didn't we expand it about 4 or 5 months ago?
That I don't know.
Darren, there you are.
Good morning, Commissioner. What's
morning.
the question now?
No, number 3, what's that expansion for?
Okay, I don't have an agenda in front of me. Can you read it to
Okay.
me?
Increase bandwidth at Government Plaza, Sheriff's Administration, NRC for Sheriff, and District Attorney.
Okay, so I got a request from the district attorney to increase their bandwidth because of the COVID coronavirus, which we did. The sheriff's office increased the bandwidth for the sheriff's office to accommodate the more requests for video arraignment and so forth. We need the increase in the bandwidth for that. As far as the government plaza is concerned, I increased the bandwidth there to accommodate the individuals working from home.
Yeah. Did we do this about 3 or 4 or 5 months ago? Increase the bandwidth?
For who?
Government Plaza, let's start there.
No.
Okay.
Now, the DA increased their bandwidth some time ago, but they've increased it since for this event.
Because everyone's on laptops now instead of...
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Glenn, number 4.
Number 4, consider approving work order number 4 for WAN Internet Access Master Services with Information Transport Solutions in the amount of $36,589.20 for 4 cart-mounted video systems for the Metro Jail to be paid from General Government Special Projects.
And Commissioner, that is the request that was made from Judge Lockwood to the commission, which will allow them to increase their
Right.
capacity for video conferencing between the jail and multiple courtrooms. Expands their capacity. Judge Lockwood asked for approximately 40,000. Aaron, his team, regular, also coming in with that.
How's that working out?
Well, I know the equipment is ordered, I'm not sure if it's delivered, but as soon as it gets delivered here, they'll quickly set it up. I've heard that the jail only has 2 rooms in their facility that can deal with this. One is the current small courtroom near the Sally Court. They converted their chapel into a second location that will allow the judges, where they don't have to move the cart. In fact, it's like a portable camera video monitor so the judges can see it. So there'll be more capacity on the judicial side. And on the sheriff's department side, case there's more space, it'll work out. But as it's implemented, as I understand it, as of today.
Okay, thank you.
Number 5, consider approving contract with Dearborn YMCA in the amount of $13,000 from District 1 funds for general operating expenses. Number 6, consider approving contract with the History Museum of Mobile Board in the amount of $5,000 from District 1 funds for the African American Music Festival. Number 7, consider approving contract with the Marching Cougars Band Booster Club in the amount of $2,320 from District 1 funds to purchase band instruments. Number 8, consider approving First Amendment to the ballot on demand system, ongoing license, maintenance, and service agreement with the Election Systems of Software in the amount of $6,345 to add coverage for the compact ballot printer and related software for probate court. Number 9, consider approving renewal agreement with Concade Software in the amount of $11,116.37 for the period of June 23rd, 2020 through June 22nd, 2021. For code enforcement for the Environmental Enforcement Department. Number 10, consider approving lease agreement and addendum with SMG for the use of Mobile Civic Center to conduct poll workers training for the period June 29, 2020 through July 2nd, 2020 for the 2020 election cycle for probate court. Rental plus parking fees have been waived. Number 11, consider approving rental agreement with the grounds in the amount of $1,600 for space to conduct poll worker training for the period July 9, 2020 through July 11, 2020 for the 2020 election cycle for probate court. Number 12, consider approving contract with Veterans Recovery Resources in the amount of $50,000 from District 3 funds for operational expenses. Number 13, approving contract with United Way of Southwest Alabama in the amount of $50,000 from District 1 funds for operational expenses. Number 14, consider approving petition to request annexation in the city of Sims of approximately 4.55 acres of real property located in McQuarrie Road right-of-way between Moffett Road and Calhoun Road, and authorize the commission president to sign the petition for annexation. Number 15.
Is there any roads involved in that? Do you know?
No, it's just right away, if they want to make certain.
Commissioners, basically, the city of Sims had requested that we turn over the maintenance responsibility for the roads that are within this area here back several months ago. They're just annexing the area adjacent to those
Okay,
roads.
that's fair enough, okay.
If you sit on one of those ends, you can come to that mic right there.
Wait, what Ryan said is correct.
We knew it was.
Thank you.
Number 15, consider approving relating to the purchase of real property at Escatawba Hollow Park and Campground, George County, Mississippi, in the amount of $16,000 from District 2 funds.
You gotta give us a tour of that place.
I can't wait for it to open.
Yeah. I've yet to go out there.
Why are you having to do it with district funds? Because it's going to be a county park. I don't
Well,
understand.
the negotiated price came in that much higher than the Blue Book value?
Okay.
And is that the best way to explain it? And so the
Push the button there. There you go.
The appraised value of the property and the purchase price differed by $16,000.
Okay. I'll split this with you. I'll
Pardon me?
split this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Well, hopefully, they're still, right now, they're still working to get it open for day use. The plan was this summer. Eddie, are we still kind of on that timeline?
Yes, we were on a track for Memorial Day for day use. Obviously, this is a different day that we're in than when we set that date, and we'll just have to
Play it
play
by
out.
ear.
But I think we'll have our part ready for that, and if we're able to open up parks at that time, we will.
Right. We haven't finished with the whole master plan yet because there's still another piece of property that adjoins that we're discussing, negotiating about. And so we want to make sure that that would be included in the master plan. So that's kind of the delay there. So as soon as we can get that, we'll do the master plan and we can finish the rest of the planning beyond the day use side of it.
Okay.
And I can't be outdone, so I'll take a third of it too.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Commissioners, we'll just need to modify that agenda item, go ahead and assign CDP for Commission 1 and
Third,
3,
third.
and split it 3 ways then. Okay, very
Much
good.
appreciated.
Number 16, consider accepting sub-grant award from Alabama Law Enforcement Agency under the fiscal year 2019 Homeland Security Grant Program for Operation Stone Garden in the amount of $396,780 for the project period of March 1st, 2020 through August 1st, 2022 for the Sheriff's Office with no local match. Number 17, approve change order number 1 with Lower Alabama Heating, Cooling, and Refrigeration. Replace train chiller for the Revenue Commissioner's Office at Michael Square Shopping Center. The change will decrease the contract amount by $5,000 for the unused portion of the allowance. The new contract total will be $16,585. Number 18, consider approving amending the infectious disease pandemic policy to comply with Families First Coronavirus Response Act and to amend the section regarding Level 2 infection control measures. And Commissioners, we'd like for you to vote on this today, please.
Okay, explain to us what the changes are, Glenn.
Okay.
I think it's
Well,
page
the major
2.
change is going to be the rate of pay. Instead of 1.5, it'll be 1.1.
Wait, can you start, looks like it's more than one, start under infection control measures and walk through whatever the changes are.
You want to go through the whole
The red line?
red lines?
Yeah, the changes.
What I would like to do is call Dawn in for that, and that way she can explain everything.
Does this affect our deputies?
Yes, it would
So we're,
affect,
instead of paying them 1.5 times, we're talking about changing it to 1.1?
yes. The first pay period, the numbers I think the discussion from the administration is that's not sustainable where we were. Cost-wise, it is not sustainable. If this goes for a long period of time, which we don't know at this point,
Yeah, but we've already told them 1.5.
well, and they received that for the first pay period, but this would affect going forward. This would be effective going forward after it's approved.
Donna,
Yes?
can you explain what the changes are here?
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All except for that bullet under the infection control measures, everything else was to comply with the, that Family Response Act that gave us the emergency sick leave and the emergency family medical leave. That was to, so that because we wanted this policy to be, ongoing and not just relate to the coronavirus, we wanted to put some language in there to say that if there were any other laws that were mandated that we needed to comply with, that we would be able to do that without having to amend the policy every time we had a different type of infectious disease to deal with. So that's what all of those, the other things that you see in there were to relate to that. And then to clarify where we had 14 days before, what we actually meant was 80 hours or, 2 weeks of work. So we clarified that. And then the suggestion for the change in reducing the amount of the extra pay for those who have contact with the public, that was suggested we reduce that to the 1.1, and then we wanted to define what public contact was also, because that seemed to be creating a lot of confusion among the departments trying to figure out who actually has public contact or who should get the extra pay. So that was part of that.
Okay, when did we change this 1.5 to 1.1?
Commissioner?
Have I missed it somewhere? Has it been on some other documentation?
Commissioner, what we did was we looked at the numbers of the first pay period, and it wasn't really a full pay period. We initiated this back on the 23rd at 10 o'clock. And at that, when we ran the numbers,
Who is we?
administration, finance, we paid out close to over $500,000 just for, and that wasn't even a full pay period. So we looked at the numbers and we did an assessment, and we felt that we could not sustain that on an ongoing basis. So then we looked at, we spread it out, what would it be at certain rates, and we looked at 1.1, which came down to about $108. So we made the recommendation that we make the change and look at it at the end of the month. We didn't want to give the impression that this was going to be ongoing or continue, because we really don't know how long this is going to last. It's not like the hurricane.
Why would you not bring it to us and talk to us in advance of this meeting?
We were running the numbers all the way up to...
You just made changes here like you were supposed to go along with it with no definition.
Oh, well, we did come to you about the changes on the...
Yeah, I'm talking about the dollar amount.
But the dollar amount, we were running numbers all the way up to late afternoon, and we felt that we could discuss it here at the meeting.
And the reason that I was kind of aware is I was calling to ask where we were financially and what the numbers looked like and how long this could be sustained. And they were telling me that if it actually, one pay period, if you include by the time we have included the whole two-week pay period, it would be well over $800,000, closer to $900,000. So that would equate, if we continued on this path, that would be nearly $2 million a month to do this, and the county.
That's over and above the normal pay?
Yes,
Yes.
the county is unable
That's
to
not even
sustain that.
including overtime, Commissioner.
And right, and so that's what they had recommended, bringing it down to a figure that was still providing hazard pay, but making it affordable. And as you recall, even the city of Birmingham, this is 10% increase. The city of Birmingham is only offering 5%, and very few municipalities and counties anywhere in the state are offering any hazard pay at all because of the cost. And I think that, I think this is fair. I think it's fair because we can't put ourselves in the position of not being able to sustain the money. And who knows how long this will last and what our revenues will look like. And we certainly want to maintain the employee levels that we have.
But we do have the capabilities of changing it at any
Yes.
time.
And they've recommended, in fact, the administration, Glenn mentioned reevaluating this at the end of the month because this is changing, every week it's changing, and we don't know exactly what the final figures will look like, but that's an estimate. Is that correct to say? Is that?
Yeah, my numbers are a little different. I think the base pay for the individuals that were on the initial list, the actual base pay was $920. If we go and we look at how much they earned in hazard pay, so we're not taking the $920 because that's going to be there regardless. That's their base pay that the hazard pay, the 1.5, was based on. At 1.5, and I estimated this on a full pay period because the information I had was on a partial, so I was able to estimate that. If you add the pay, the FICA, and the pension, that ends up at $543,603 for a pay period based on the individuals that were on the original list that were submitted that will be paid on tomorrow. If we go, and I'll just go, if we look
Does that
at
include
1.25,
overtime?
I'm sorry?
That's not including overtime?
That is, if you add overtime, and that would be another $100,000, so that'd be $643. So we're just looking at the straight. Yeah. Okay. If we look at doing it from 1.5 times to 1.25 times, we're looking at $271,000. If we break it down to 1.2 times, it's $217. 1.15 times is $163, and 1.10 is $108. And so the difference between currently the 1.5 and the 1.1 is going to be a savings of $489,243 a pay period.
And that's total. That includes base pay plus
taxes.
Overtime?
Yeah, so we're including
and
taxes
everything.
and all of that. So if that gives you a little bit more insight, I do have an email, and I'll be glad to forward it to you. I'll defer to Glenn and Eddie, but I do have the information, and they are correct. I was working on this up until, I think, Eddie and I, 3:30, 4 o'clock yesterday. And so.
Well, as president of the county commission, I'd appreciate numbers in advance instead of getting to the meeting and pushing for something to be voted on. I think that's wrong. I've seen no numbers, and I can't add and subtract. There's a lot of things I can't do. But I do understand numbers, and I'd like to see those numbers.
Yes, sir.
Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
I think, and I certainly can appreciate what you're saying, because I didn't see any numbers till late yesterday afternoon when I called and
seen any
asked if there were
numbers?
any. And
Yes,
the
sir.
only
We've
reason
seen
I
no
got them
numbers.
is because I called. But I was very alarmed by the numbers that, for the first pay period. And I think certainly, whether we do it today or Monday, but I think we're going to have to take action pretty quickly here, because this amount of money, it cannot be sustained for very long.
What is the rationale for voting today?
Well, the first part would be the policy to comply with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. That needs to be voted on, so we can get that moving.
Okay, does a new pay period begin tomorrow or something?
I'm not sure. But the other, what Glenn was saying, be in compliance with the Relief Act, that emergency sick pay and family medical leave. I mean, we can, as long as we are administering it correctly, I think we're okay with getting the policy voted on Monday if we need to wait till Monday. I think for the other part would be just to make so that it would be effective today to start the new pay rate today for the hazard pay.
So, I haven't seen the numbers, but it sounds pretty compelling that we need to act. I can vote today, but that's just me.
I'm ready. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Put me down as a no, please. In the future, I would like to see some numbers. I think all three commissioners have got a right to see numbers. Understood?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like it to state for the record that we'll review this at the end of the
Right.
At the end of April.
For the record, this compensation structure for hazard pay will be reviewed by the administration and a recommendation made at that point at the end of the month, end of April, correct? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Okay, thanks.
And Commissioner Carl, it does state in the policy that the commission can, at any period of time, make changes to the employee compensation. So you can do that at any time.
Well, my problem's not that. My problem is the way it's handled. I mean, you bring it in here, you're asking us to push it through. We haven't seen any numbers. All we've had is just definitions that are on this paper, and that stinks to high heavens where I'm from. So, I think we can do a better job than that. There's three commissioners up here. Remember that.
Well, I would like to have seen the numbers as well. I know you're flying by the seat of your pants, and so I can give you a pass on this one because this was pretty urgent, but I agree with Commissioner Carl that we need to, when you're going to ask us to do something that major, we need to have time to think about it, to, see it and evaluate it.
Yes, Commissioner. Number 19, approving sponsorship of the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission in the amount of $2,500 from the general fund for its 22nd Annual Business Expo and Job Fair at the grounds, May 7, 2020. Number 20, consider approving authorizing to advertise for requests for qualifications for project Bayou Battery Water Distribution System Upgrades Phase 1. 21, consider authorizing to advertise for requests for qualifications for a project Mount Vernon Water Treatment Plant upgrades. Number 22, consider authorizing to advertise for bids projects ADA upgrades at various buildings. 23, consider approving lease and service agreement with satellite tracking of people for the benefit of Sheriff's Office for the electronic monitoring products and service for a 3-year term. Cost varies according to usage but will not exceed $15,000 per year. 24, consider approving contract with Bernice Causey Middle School Parent Teacher Student Association in the amount of $4,000 from District 3 funds to purchase gym mats. 25, consider authorizing amending sponsorship with Providence Foundation approved at March 9, 2020 meeting, agenda item number 14, to change amount from $10,000 to $6,880 for Festival Flowers pending legal review. 26, consider approving deferment of the lease payments for United Saints of America doing business as Chicken Salad Chick for the months of April, May, June, and July 2020, and waive any late fees and penalties associated therewith.
And Commissioner, if you're in agreement, we can vote on that today.
I'm good with that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And I'm a no.
27, consider approving pursuant to Section V entitled summonses in lieu of arrest of Governor Kay Ivory's proclamation on March 26, 2020, to authorize Mobile County Sheriff's Office to law enforcement officers to issue a summons and complaint in lieu of custodial arrest for any violation or misdemeanor except those enumerated in the proclamation.
Terry, can you explain that a little better? English? I said, could you put that in English?
I will, yes, sir. This came to me from Chief Deputy Eddie Burrow so about 10 days ago, one of the many proclamations that came from the governor, there are certain misdemeanor arrests that occur, and those certain arrests that are done by misdemeanor require custodial arrest. You go into jail, you make your bond, and you get out. The governor, in order to reduce jail population in county and municipal jails, has waived that requirement if the municipality and/or the county so wish to do so. At the request of Chief Deputy Burrow, he asked that we implement that to make it a formal policy. So that it exempts matters such as DUIs, it exempts matters, certain drug-related charges, it exempts matters that relate to an arrest for domestic violence, which requires a custodial arrest. And interesting enough, it exempts from the summons a misdemeanor offense that might involve a crime of restitution. So I'm not sure how they're dealing with that. But I kind of struggled on how to write it, and that's what I came up with.
But
So
the state has those laid out
they do.
falls
It's
under
very
those
laid out in
guidelines.
state statute, and a lot of jurisdictions are doing it anyway, but the Sheriff Department asked me to allow it to be formal. I would ask if the commission would consider voting on this today. Doesn't cost any money, but it could wait till Monday if y'all prefer.
I certainly don't have a problem voting on it today.
Thank y'all.
Make the motion?
Second.
Number 28, consider approving contract with a Servants Love, Inc. in the amount of $5,000 from District 1 funds for operational expenses. 29, consider approving contract with Feeding the Gulf Coast in the amount of $20,000 from District 1 funds for operational expenses. Number 30, take the following actions and bids. And Commissioners, there is one change that's made on the last item. It should read, approved to refurbish and upgrade Deck 3 at Mobile Metro Range. And we're going to include in that forfeiture funds is the funding source.
That's on, is that, I'm sorry, which?
It's on the page 6, the first one on page 6.
Oh, okay.
So it's Mobile County Metro Range?
It's Mobile Metro Range.
Okay, and this 341, what's the paying source on that?
Forfeiture funds is the funding source.
The sheriff's
Forfeiture.
funds.
Sheriff's forfeiture funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 31, consider approving renewal of subscription with Calyo 2009 Corp. in the amount of $2,640 for the period of May 1st, 2020 through April 30th, 2021 for the Mobile County Sheriff's Office Narcotics Unit for tracking services for the Sheriff's Office. 32, consider approving renewal of subscription with Solera Identifix in the amount of $1,428 for the period of June 1st, 2020 through June 1st, 2021.
Do we know what that is?
It's for the county garage.
I don't know what it is, if there's exactly.
2 hotline cars per month? It looks like a lockbox service of some type.
Is this, I know we have some tracking devices on certain vehicles. This is not this?
That is not our tracking devices.
Okay.
I can find out.
Okay, if you would for Monday, I'd appreciate it.
.33, consider approving renewal subscription for Malwarebytes, Inc. in the amount of $188.60 for Malwarebytes endpoint protection for the Revenue Commissioner's Office.
Is that annual or monthly? The 188.60, is that an annual?
Says 3-year cloud product. I don't know if that means it's 3 years coverage. Fair price subscription.
I wouldn't think so for that price.
No, I wouldn't either.
That's why I was asking, it was so long.
It says 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Well, that sounds like a good deal.
Yep, 36 months.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And 34, consider approving maintenance service agreement with Acre Construction Corporation in the amount of $13,050 from District 1 funds for High Point Park splash pad. We have a add-on.
With respect to the add-on, that is not right to be discussed at this time. There will be some discussion with each of you, with the Sheriff's Department, about renewal of the NAVCare contract. I got my signals crossed, and it's not ready for commission consideration today. I will say that there is going to likely be an increase from last year, but we need to develop all that better for you.
So it won't be on
It
the
will not
agenda
be
for
on
Monday?
today's agenda, nor will on Monday's agenda.
Okay.
Natasha and I and Jim Rossler got our signals crossed, but we'll be with you about it soon. So I apologize for even bringing it to the attention at this late hour. I apologize, Glenn, for not telling you before I got in here.
Okay.
And Commissioner, did you want to read the announcement for the weight loss incentive program, or did you want to wait to the end?
If I can figure out where I put it. I apologize, I'm way off balance today. Okay, announcement. An announcement to the weight loss incentive program will be considered at the next conference or meeting to restart the program at a later date for this year only, so that we won't be calling people who are working from home back for WAID during the current health crisis. For this year only, we will have only the weight loss portion of the program and not the maintenance program. Anyone wishing to address the commission at that time will have an opportunity to do so. I know many of you have worked at weight loss in the past weeks and months, and we commend you for that. Ask that you work with us during these difficult times. Donna Jones. Is that it?
That's it?
I'm as confused as before I read it.
See, you weren't part of the weight loss challenge, so you don't know about that. I
My
weighed
job-
in.
My job is to put weight on.
Did you weigh in?
Yeah, I weighed in.
He's gonna weigh out.
All right.
You ready? Very
Ryan, let's
good.
get it.
Okay, item number 1, Commissioners. Recommend approving reimbursable agreement with Moss for the installation of some water line facilities on the intersection improvement project at Dawes Road and Jeff Hamilton Road intersection. That is right there at the Purple Cow. We anticipate having this ready to bid within the next 2 months. Item 2, recommend authorizing the acquisition of the property and acceptance of the right-of-way deeds as listed. Item 3, recommend approving professional engineering design and right-of-way mapping for the Ralph Latham Road project. Item 4, recommend approving professional engineering design and right-of-way mapping for the Grand Farms Road West project. Item 5, recommend adopting resolution consenting to the annexation of portions of the below-listed streets for the city of Sims. Item 6, recommend awarding the bid for the Mobile County Soccer Complex Road to John G. Walton for their bid. By the way, Commissioner, they plan on getting started probably Wednesday of next week.
Excellent.
Just as soon
excellent.
as we get these contracts executed, they plan on jumping on it.
Good.
Item 7, recommend approving preliminary plat of Ellen's Cove Unit 1. That's in District 3. Item 8, approving preliminary and final plat of Broadway, Chunchula, Alabama. Plat in District 2. Item 9, recommend approving final
What?
plat of Deer Crest.
What is Broadway, Chunchula, Alabama?
That's the music district of Chunchula. You didn't know that?
You know, that is a good question, because I don't know the answer to that either. What is it?
That's just the name of the plat that
Oh, the plat
they
name,
attach
okay.
to this particular plat. Yeah.
All right.
I don't
mean,
know
one-
that it really has any significance. That's just the name they assign to it.
See, they just went uptown when it became District 2.
They must have.
When it was District 1, we just had country music.
Tacked
We
on
didn't have
Broadway.
any- we didn't have Broadway.
Item 9, recommend approving final plat of Deer Crest Unit 2 subdivision, and that is in Commission District 3. And, okay, item 10, recommend authorizing advertisement for the adoption of the Mobile County Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance.
When are we going to get briefed on what's in it? When will we get briefed on what's in it?
We have sent the information, or excuse me, we will be sending it off to ADECA this week, and then they're just going to check to make sure that it does meet everything, and then we would get with y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Item 11, recommend approving annual support and maintenance by Tracker Software Corporation for the Public Works software for the Engineering Public Works Department. Item 12, recommend assigning a contract for professional engineering design services for Grand Farms Road West to Speaks and Associates. Item 13, recommend awarding the bid for Michael Square resurfacing of the parking lot to Bay Area Contracting.
This is a good time for them to get started because it's pretty empty out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect time for it. Item 14, recommend approving supplemental agreement number 2 with Hosey Weaver on our Padgett Switch Road resurfacing project. Item 15, recommend approving supplemental agreement number 1 with Hosey Weaver on our Halls Mill Road project. And Commissioners, that is it at this time.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to add? No. We will see you Monday. Everybody have a good, safe weekend. I gotta get out and see this. Somebody asked me about it the other day.